Have you ever dreamed of something so intensely that it felt more real than reality itself? A goal so bright, it outshined everything else in your life. Today, we're going on a journey with a young man who chased such a dream, a journey that will make you question what it truly means to find what you're looking for. Long ago, in a village shrouded by mist-covered mountains, lived a young man named Salim. He was different. While others found comfort in the familiar rhythm of village life, tending fields by day, counting stars by night, Salim's heart was set on something far grander. He dreamed of the legendary Crystal Palace, a mythical structure said to glitter atop the highest peak, shining brighter than the moon. The stories about the palace were whispered with a mix of awe and fear. Many had gone in search of it, but none had ever returned. Some said the mountain itself devoured them, others believed the thick, rolling fog stole their very souls. But Salim held a different belief. He was convinced that those who vanished simply lost their faith just before reaching their goal. Every single night, he would stand by the river, his eyes fixed on the distant horizon where faint lights seemed to flicker on the mountaintops. He'd whisper to the rushing water, a promise to himself: if it exists, I will find it. And if it doesn't, I will build it myself. One morning, just as the sky began to blush with the colors of dawn, Salim made his move. Without a word to anyone, he packed a small cloth bag with the bare essentials: a loaf of bread, some dried meat, and a flask of water. But as he quietly opened the door to leave, a soft voice stopped him. It was his mother. Her eyes were weary from a life of hard work, her hands rough and calloused, but her voice trembled with a mother's love. "Where are you going, my son?" she asked, her gaze full of concern. "To the mountains, mother," he replied, his voice steady with determination. "I'm going to bring back a future where you'll never have to work again." A sad smile touched her lips, and her eyes welled with tears. "Don't bring me gold, Salim," she whispered. "Just bring me back yourself." He promised her he would return. Then, turning his face toward the rising sun, he began his long, arduous journey. The first few days were deceptively peaceful. He followed well-worn forest trails, found shelter beneath ancient trees, and drank from rivers so clear they mirrored the stars at night. But as he ventured deeper, the path grew treacherous. The forest became a dense, tangled maze, and a biting chill settled in the air. At night, the darkness was filled with strange, unsettling howls that made his small campfire feel hopelessly inadequate against the encroaching shadows. On the fourth night, as a thick, disorienting fog swept through the valley, Salim stumbled upon a mysterious figure by a stream. It was an old man with a long, snow-white beard, calmly stirring herbs in a clay bowl. Without even looking up, the old man asked, "Where are you heading, young traveler?" "To the Crystal Palace," Salim answered, his voice ringing with confidence. The old man let out a soft chuckle. "Many have gone searching for it. None have found it. Then I'll be the first," Salim declared. The old man finally looked up, and Salim was struck by his eyes. They were like clear water, deep and ancient, holding the wisdom of ages. "The path you seek is not made of stones," the old man said cryptically, "but of mirrors. You will face what you desire most, and what you fear most. Beware of the mirrors that shine too bright, for they show lies that look like truth." Salim, sensing the weight of his words, bowed respectfully. "Thank you, wise one." The man handed him a wooden cup filled with a strange, green liquid. "Drink this when you lose your way. It will remind you of who you are." And just like that, the old man vanished into the mist, as if he were a part of it all along. Days bled into weeks. Salim's journey became a relentless test of endurance. He scaled sheer cliffs that scraped the sky, crossed roaring rivers, and navigated through an endless, disorienting fog. One night, under the glow of a full moon, he saw a silver lake shimmering in the distance. Its surface was as smooth and reflective as polished glass, looking almost unreal. Drawn by its beauty, he approached and peered into its depths. He gasped. The reflection wasn't just him, it was a version of him wearing a golden crown, surrounded by servants, and mountains of treasure. He saw immense power, unimaginable wealth, and the adoration of everyone. It was a perfect vision of everything he had ever secretly craved. He instinctively reached his hand toward the shimmering reflection, wanting to grasp that glorious future. But just as his fingers were about to touch the surface, the old man's warning echoed in his mind, "Beware of the mirrors." He froze. The reflection in the lake suddenly smiled back at him, a sinister, knowing smile, even though Salim's own face was etched with confusion. Then, the image began to twist and contort, and he felt a powerful, unseen force pulling him in. With a surge of adrenaline, Salim scrambled backward, his heart pounding in his chest. The illusion shattered instantly. The lake turned dark, still, and silent. He realized with a shudder that this wasn't water. It was a trap of desire, a mirror designed to imprison those who become lost in their own ambitions. He whispered to the silent night, "Not everything that shines is worth reaching for." The mountain continued to test him at every turn. One morning, he awoke to a terrifying sight, a giant wolf with eyes like glowing embers blocking his path. His hand flew to the knife at his belt, but then he remembered the last of his food. With a heavy heart, he threw his final piece of bread toward the beast. The wolf sniffed it, took the offering, and then, as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished back into the trees. Salim was safe, but now his stomach ached with a gnawing hunger. Later, a ferocious sandstorm engulfed the valley, forcing him to seek refuge in a dark cave. As his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he saw ancient carvings covering the walls. They depicted people kneeling before a magnificent, shining tower of glass. Beneath the drawings, words were etched in an old, unfamiliar language. Salim could barely decipher them, but one line seemed to glow with significance: "The Crystal Palace opens not to the eyes that seek beauty, but to the heart that holds truth." 40 long days passed. Salim was a shadow of his former self. His clothes were in tatters, his hands were blistered and raw, and his feet were bleeding. He was on the verge of giving up. But then, one morning, the persistent fog finally lifted, and he saw it. There, glowing like a fallen star on the highest peak, was the Crystal Palace. Its towers soared into the sky, transparent and shimmering with a kaleidoscope of colors that danced like rainbows on water. The air on it felt warm, fragrant, and profoundly still. Overwhelmed with awe, he trembled as he approached the massive glass gate. He reached out a hesitant hand and touched it. The moment his fingers made contact, the gate dissolved beneath his hand, turning into a wave of clear water that gently washed over him. Everything went white. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing in a breathtaking hall filled with crystal pillars and bathed in a soft, golden light. Birds of every imaginable color flew gracefully above him, their songs weaving together into a beautiful, ethereal melody. In the very center of the hall, a single, ornate mirror rested on a pedestal of entwined silver vines. A gentle, echoing voice filled the space. "You have reached the Crystal Palace, Salim. Tell me, what do you seek?" Salim, stripped of all his worldly desires, answered quietly and honestly. "I seek peace for my mother, and truth for myself." "Then look," the voice commanded. He stepped closer to the mirror. But instead of seeing gold, or glory, or a king's crown, he saw the image of his mother. She was sitting by the door of their small house, her face calm, a gentle smile on her lips as she looked toward the mountains, toward him. In that single, powerful instant, tears streamed down Salim's face. He finally understood. The Crystal Palace was never a physical place on a mountain. It was a reflection of the soul, a destination reached only by those who have conquered the illusions of their own minds. When Salim returned to his village, he was a changed man. No one believed his stories about seeing the legendary palace. But it didn't matter. He no longer needed their validation. He built a small school by the river and dedicated his life to teaching the village children about kindness, the courage to face your inner self, and the danger of chasing empty illusions. And sometimes, on clear days when the fog lifted from the mountains, the villagers would swear they could see a faint, ethereal light shimmering from the highest peak like a distant glass tower glowing in the sunlight. Salim would just smile to himself and whisper, "The Crystal Palace shines for those who carry it in their hearts." Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey today. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that explore the depths of the human spirit. We'll see you in the next video.